motion to approve or disapprove an engagement agreement with the Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringo to provide legal services for the 2011-2012 year. Dr. Beagles?
Thank you, Mr. President. In your packet, you also have the second agreement, which is an engagement agreement with Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringo. Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringo, as I found out, also has worked in Sperry in the past. They haven't been in Sperry in a while, but it's my recommendation that we enter into the agreement with them. Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringo is commonly called RFR. RFR has been in the school law business since 1932. They have approximately 20 attorneys on staff. They do specialize in school law. I did a little checking, and they have 8 attorneys that have more than 20 years of experience in school law. Whether it's student discipline issues, construction issues. They have, by the way, worked on a lot of projects with Mike Stacy through the construction end of it in school. School employment personnel issues, special education issues, contractual issues. They have people with expertise in this area. And I would say that their depth of knowledge in school law in that firm is going to be unmatched in this part of the state. It may be this state. And what I would also say, in light of a lot of recent developments, that since we're an entity in Tulsa County, it's my recommendation that we also have a law firm that's located in Tulsa County. We currently primarily use Larry Lewis, who's a very outstanding attorney. However, he's located in Oklahoma City. And if we're doing business at the Tulsa County Courthouse, we do need someone close that can be over there back and forth filing the various documents that need to be filed. The engagement agreement in your packet tonight is an agreement. It lays out the terms and the conditions of the agreement. There is no charge, there is no retainer fee, and once you use their service is when you're charged. So to simply have an agreement with the firm, it doesn't cost anything. When we start using them for personnel issues, whatever it may be, then we'll pay for their legal services like. I might also add that they represent over 300 districts in the state of Oklahoma. They're by far the most widely used school law firm. I've used them in Bartlesville, I've used them in Caney Valley, and I've used them in Broken Arrow. And I've used them probably since 1991. So I'm also familiar with RFR, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions pertaining to this recommendation.
What does cash advance mean on the contract?
If they pay something and then we have to
Well, it
reimburse
says
them.
with a statement of cash advance.
I guess,
Invoice service rendered the previous month along with a statement of a cash advance.
would that be if they went down to the courthouse and
They
did
paid
some
any
file
fees?
something they paid while they're there?
Is that the schedule
It's
of
on the very
reimbursement?
front, no, it's on the engagement. The very bottom.
Yeah, it says it right there in the 3rd paragraph.
Yeah, they're gonna bill us monthly, and if they've paid any court filing fees and such on our behalf that requires them to advance cash on our behalf in a lawsuit or something, then they're gonna invoice us to reimburse them. They will not send us an invoice without some kind of legitimate documentation showing that they've had to pay a fee.
Okay.
Sometimes there's like a court filing fee or something.
Brian, I know we used wireless, but isn't he semi-retired?
Yes, Mr. Lewis is, used to also work for the Oklahoma State School Board, and he's also worked for RFR. He actually is retired. He doesn't do a lot of work anymore. He works out of his house, and he just kind of almost does it as a favor. The problem is, Larry is always, I have never found Larry, and there used to be a superintendent by the name of Bill Beersman. Bill was in Bartlesville and introduced me to Larry. And Bill said at that time, probably 92 or 3, he said, Larry Lewis has never steered me wrong in 10 years or whatever. And he's yet to steer me wrong. But he also is kind of retired, and so when you call him anymore, it's at his house. He has a fax machine at his house, and he has a computer at his house. And he kind of just does things almost as a favor. He doesn't really charge much. Last year, our legal service bill from Larry, I think, he didn't send a bill, so I called him to say, Larry, we haven't received a bill from you all year. He said, well, you don't owe me anything. I said, well, yeah, I've used it quite a bit. He said, all right, I'll send you a bill. And it was $99.
And you wanna replace him?
The problem with Larry is sometimes when he's retired, he's not able, you can't get to him because he's not in an office and he's just doing things for almost free gratis to come to school if he wants to. He's not someone that's going to come over here and represent us in a lawsuit. I asked Larry if he'd come represent us in an anti-fam lawsuit. He's not interested. I would suggest, in my opinion, if Rosenstein, Fitz, and Ringo would have represented us, that would have been a different outcome. But Larry was not interested in getting involved in that because he's retired.
It might have cost us even more money.
It might have, but I suggest it would have been a different outcome. So what I'm saying is, Larry Lewis is not an attorney that's going to come down to Tulsa court to defend you or represent you because he's retired and he will advise you a little bit from time to time.
Well, I realize that Rosenstein is the largest law firm in the state, and they have, to my mind, it's my opinion, they pretty much steered the course of education largely in the state, where they've been a major factor in that. They're not the only law firm. We have local attorneys. We have a firm here locally in Sperry.
Who's that?
Jeff Stevens.
I didn't know he did school law.
Yes, he's in Skyjet. He's doing their law. He does quite a bit of municipal law, and he has contacted me and told me that he has some interest in representing Sperry. I didn't know that this was going to be. We had a call for a special meeting. There'd been no talk prior to this about needing to get a new law firm. I was quite happy if Larry Lewis. I understand the handicaps there with him being in Oklahoma City and semi-retired. But all I'm saying is I would wish that this would be tabled for further consideration in light of there are other attorneys around. We have good attorneys here.
Daryl, I don't know that much about Jeff, other than I know him as a person, but hiring a local law firm.
Well, I think what we're looking for is how so?
Well, he's got kids that go to school here.
I think he would even be more serious in trying to save the district money while at the same time looking out for the best interest of the school. I'm not saying that he would even take on the role, but I think he ought to be contacted to talk to, just out of pure courtesy.
Has he ever called you, Brian, and said he's
I've
interested?
never heard of him until a couple days.
He would have if it were up for, if he'd known that, you know, that you were thinking.
Well, back on July the 12th, when we voted for the same thing for Larry Lewis, I never heard nothing about it.
Jeff works in close concert with Larry. He looks up to Larry. He's learned a lot from him. And I think if you had somebody like that, you'd also have, it's almost a 2-for-1 bargain. You know, we're going to do what you're going to do, but I think, like I say, it would be my wish that we table this for further consideration. You know, there's other attorneys around.
Did he,
And
Other attorneys that live in Sperry.
exactly, plenty.
But I don't know of any of them that have 20 years of experience in school law. And there may be.
No, Rosenstein's kind of cornered the market, so to speak, I guess you could say.
Any other discussion? Do we have a motion to approve or disapprove an engagement agreement with Rosenstein, Fitz, and Reno to provide legal services for the 2011-2012 school year?
I'll make a motion to approve an engagement agreement with Rosenstein, Fitz, and Reno to provide legal services for the 2011-2012 school year.
Have a vote, please.
Gary. Rachel.
Aye.
Daryl.
No.
Cindy.
No.
Jeff.
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2.
Last but not least, motion for adjourn at 6 o'clock p.m.
I'm a second.
May I have a vote, please?
Gary.
Aye.
April. Darrell.
Aye.
Cindy.
Aye.
Jeff.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's the way they ought to be.